Good afternoon and welcome to the Noughty event. We are thrilled to be joined with Thomson and Scott and to have you all here with us on this amazingly sunny day. What could be better than ice cold, sparkling, organic Chardonnay, which also happens to be alcohol free. Now, before we work out, and I love, this is my favorite part, to work out whether are you naughty. So we're going to work that out a bit later when we open the bottle. I'd love to introduce Johnny Stevens, who's my co-host this afternoon. Johnny is the founder of the world's first app, which helps you discover the most amazing alcohol-free and alcohol-friendly drinks. So Johnny, over to you.
Hello. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming. So yeah, I founded Betterwithout last year after seeing the trend of and movement of people not drinking, and wanted to make it really easy for people to discover drinks, look at food pairing. So we're now working with about 180 brands, drinks brands, and we're starting to, now hospitality is open again, start engaging with hospitality, being able to show consumers where they can discover great drinks and where they can try them, and hopefully bring more people to your places. So yeah, that's us and that's what we do, and we're obviously delighted to be joined by Amanda and Shamal from Thomson Scott today to try Noughty. And I think, have you got some stats as well, Lauren? I know we talked about obviously the massive trends in people not drinking. I know that now that there's a stat that 1 in 4 visits to a pub now don't involve alcohol. 1 in 3 of those now don't involve alcohol if it's in a restaurant. So it's massively increasing people not drinking and wanting choice. And I think, did you have some other stats as well, Lauren?
The one that's always blown my mind is that 23% of people who've actually drunk less during lockdown, which isn't what's happening where I live, but definitely seems to be the statistic out there. And one that I fall within the bracket of is that 63% of people between the age of 35 and 54 already assume that non-alcoholic drinks aren't going to taste that great. So I'm thrilled that we're going to be able to prove that stat wrong and reduce it from the 63%er. But before we do that, and before we start talking to Amanda and get your questions and queries, I really think it's probably time to open the bottle and work out whether you are naughty. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what
we'll see what happens.
And
I've got the camera ready there, just in case.
I wish you all good luck, especially if you've been shaking it, Mr. Frankel.
As long as this doesn't take my shed roof off, I'll be all right.
Well, you need a skylight. Summer is on its way.
It could go right through.
Oh, that sounds good.
Beautifully done.
You have been in a restaurant or two in your past?
I'm assuming everybody's very comfortable opening bottles.
Are we testing as well, or are we just gonna?
Absolutely, go for it.
Or was it just a bottle opening?
Was there anything, Shamal, from your side? Was there any anything you wanted to say, or Amanda, about the wine, about the taste whilst we are trying it?
Sure. It's lovely to be with you all. And first of all, hospitality is in our blood. So I'm so happy that we're all back together now. This was a labor of love, really. It was born out of an obsession with fine champagne, and really the drive to see whether it were possible to bring the party without the alcohol. I studied originally my mentor was the late sommelier Gérard Basset. I'm sure you might be familiar, those of you who come from the wine world. It took me on a journey to Cordon Bleu in Paris. I was a mature student, having been a BBC broadcaster prior. And I, first of all, created a champagne. Then we moved into sparkling wine, and this is Noughty. So it's the world's first organic, vegan, alcohol-free alternative to champagne. So we hope you like it.
Well, I think we deserve a toast. I thought we were going to toast hospitality's return, and may it have a really amazing summer and years to come. Cheers.
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 Cheers. Close to that.
So it's 100% Chardonnay. I was a blonde to blonde girl, so it's Chardonnay from La Mancha in Spain. So nicely sun ripened. You need a lot of flavour to start with if you're going to use vacuum distillation, which is how this alcohol-free is created. And then aroma recovery is there. So there's nothing synthetic whatsoever. So it's 100% organic, very low in sugar for an alcohol-free. I'm all about balance, coming from the wine world. Comes in at 2.9 grams per 100 millilitres, which seems like a lot in my mind when I'm used to zero dosage champagnes, but you need that to retain the balance once the alcohol is extracted from the wine.
It is beautiful. I've just reduced your statistic. It's definitely not 60% anymore. I'm going to go for 62. That is lovely.
Is it the first time you're trying, Lauren?
Yes, absolutely. It's phenomenal. The last bottle went to Chris. We don't talk about it.
We've been lucky enough to have some of your wonderful crowd in hospitality and wine giving us some lovely mentions. Justice Robinson's team declared it potentially the best alcohol-free ever, which kind of blew our minds. And then Wine Enthusiast, New York Times, Washington Post. I mean, we've been very lucky that lots of people are falling in love with it. I think there was really a dearth of options. There was nothing decent. As a fine wine lover, there was nothing really out there. So I think the market was pretty much wide open for something delicious, which I think is hopefully why Noughty is where it is. But I'd love to hear how you're all finding it.
Absolutely. Mr. Frankel, what do you think? You guys do the most incredible events through Amadeus, and you've got venues and party season is a thing.
Yeah, well, hopefully a thing very soon again. It's really good. I mean, like you said, Lauren, I think alcohol-free or low alcohol has had a really bad rap. I think you've got to commend some of the guys like Brewdog that have seen like their Nanny State product sort of up in their top 3 of sales. Punk AF. I choose to drink that as well personally. It's a great product, and yeah, surprising. Say it has got that real characteristic. It's crisp. It's clean. The mouthfeel is great. It's surprisingly good. And no offense, but it's really enjoyable.
We just brought that down to 61%. And Mr. Elliott, what are your thoughts on in the shed?
Give me my shed out of it, please. I think it's quite delightful, to be honest. I think it's.
Thank you.
I think it's a pleasurable drink on that outside terrace in the afternoon, without a doubt. I can see that being. I taste a lot of non-alcoholic wines, and some are what I'd class as reasonably good, and some are just extremely poor imitations of what a wine should even look like. This has actually got, I think once you got past the initial fizz, if I'm being honest, you got past that initial burst of fizz. I wasn't quite sure about that, but actually the fizz element now is starting to work on me because it's working in the glass, which is quite nice. And I see somewhere, I don't know the lady's name, so I apologise, in the white, beautiful glass you're drinking yours out of.
Sorry.
Beautiful. That's what it should be. But yeah, I mean, this is, yeah, I think it's very surprising. It's quite different. And, I do think we've got to, in the restaurant business, we have got to shape up a little bit. We all like to sell a bottle of wine or two, without a doubt, because that's what helps the wheels go around. But we've also got to be, I think, quite responsible in terms of what we are selling and how we're selling it. And, this is good. I love the name, by the way. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think that's for me, I can see that on a couple of our rooftops. That's quite nice. Yeah, without a doubt.
And it's really interesting on a price point of
You're going to tell me it's like 44,000?
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to go into the price point but as a price point of alcohol free, what consumers are, I mean, we look at consumer data all the time, and consumers are happy to pay the equivalent of alcohol if they're getting a good product. And I think that's the big thing, is that people are willing to pay the price for a good quality product.
A small anecdote here. So I was involved many years ago with STK, and I was doing the franchise across to Dubai, and I also met some guys at the time that wanted it in Doha. And I remember meeting these guys and explaining all about what STK was and the whole brand proposition. And they just dropped a bombshell at the end by saying, but all the drinks have got to be alcohol free. And I was like, well, God, that's not going to work. How on earth are you going to, why are you talking to, price point? And price point to them, it didn't matter. It could almost be double the price point of a normal glass of wine, because people out there would still pay for it. And, sometimes you think about America and Dubai and Doha being sort of 3 or 4 years ahead of where everything is. We're certainly behind in the UK in getting anywhere close to this sort of thing, and it will happen. I do think even the younger generation now are seriously looking at how they drink. They still drink.
I think it's particularly the younger generation that we've certainly seen the change. Thinking, we've got a lot of arena business, a lot of sort of younger demographics sort of coming to see that sort of music event, and we have seen that rise in people requesting, whether it's alcohol-free cocktails, alcohol-free wine, alcohol-free beer, etc. But I think it goes with that whole plant-based movement as well. I think it's just making sure you have the choice, and the choice that you give people has got to be good, otherwise they won't pay for it.
Exactly. And at the moment, alcohol beer, and there's some really good ones out there, but I think for many years,
really bad ones.
Well, there is, and for many years, I think Germany were the forefront leaders of some good non-alcoholic beer. Yeah. Their beer tasted like it was a normal beer out the tap. They got it right, 100%.
And
I think,
sorry.
No, I was just going to say Germany seems to be at the forefront of alcohol-free, because this is produced in Germany as well. And the producer we work with, actually, it's been doing alcohol-free since 1908. So they really know their stuff when it comes to 0%. Sorry, Lauren, I interrupted you there.
That's good.
I did not realize that they were, it's been around for that long. That's fantastic. Who knew? We've missed out on all the and Bob, I know that you at Royal Lancaster and Sally have been looking at this for a while. What are your thoughts?
I was quite surprised that it had the Chardonnay taste on it, actually. Not sure how you did that, but I was really surprised at that. A bit like the man in the shed, he said, once the fizz went, there wasn't sure about the foam on it, to be perfectly honest, but the aftertaste, the second mouth, which is the one to gauge on, was really interesting. Really interesting. We're looking at a whole new range of non-alcoholic drinks at the moment, and it's really difficult to know where to start, because there's so many products that come onto the market, I've noticed, in the last 3 to 4 months. And I suppose we're an old-fashioned hotel in the sense that we're a gin and tonic hotel. We hold large events of up to about 1,000 people. And our main aim in life, dare I say this, it's not going live to BBC or anything like that, is it?
No. Okay.
That's like...
Go on, Bob, go on, tell us the truth now.
Well, no, because a bit like, I mean, all you guys are going to be in the same boat. It's about making profit as well, and I know I sent some emails to you, Lauren, and apologies, because I was asking about price, because we get margin set. We get margin set as opposed to not following a trend, because fortunately, in my case, we went vegan 2 years ago. My son is adamant vegan person, so it's something that we've looked into, and we've sort of changed our way of life in the way that we view food and drink. So I'm not surprised how good it is. I was surprised that the Chardonnay was as relevant as it was, and I was a bit surprised how good that was. Just, I suppose what I'm not sure about is how we're going to market it from a hotel perspective with our clients. And yeah, I suppose that would be my only negative spin on it from a hotelier's point of view.
On that note, Bob, if I may just jump in, it's a really good point. And just to give you some examples, Gleneagles, Limewood. So we're already working with a lot of lovely hotels, luckily. And really, I think it's that idea of having the glass of champagne or the glass of Noughty. So we're really positioning it, and at the Shard, where you've got literally champagne and Noughty. And what that does is it means anybody around the table can have that celebratory moment, irrespective of the fact they're not drinking. And what lots of people used to find was they were offered an alcohol-free beer, but of course, a lot of people don't drink beer, firstly. And I think that until now, really, there was nothing that filled that gap where it comes to the celebration. And so what a lot of bars and nice hotels have been doing is literally just switching out the glass of bubbles for the alcohol-free version for those who'd like, and also the same with champagne cocktails. And you can make a really nice margin on Noughty because it's actually a surprisingly low entree price, and your margins are really quite fat, actually, because actually we found that consumers don't expect to pay a lot less for a glass of delicious Noughty around the table than they do champagne. So I think from your perspective, that's quite useful.
Yeah, I also think the other one, I've been speaking to a few hotels recently about alcohol free and how embracing it. And I think afternoon teas is a big one where people don't want to drink, but actually a bottle of something celebratory as Noughty works really well.
Well, I think when Gleneagles launched that, it went crazy, didn't it, Siobhan?
It went absolutely crazy. I was going to say Gleneagles because, of course, in Scotland they not only had the lockdown, but they couldn't sell alcohol inside as well. So the moment that happened, the F&B guy at Gleneagles called me and said, "Okay, we're bringing your product in," and it works well because with afternoon tea, and you can replace the bubbles with Noughty. Another example was at the Grove in Hertfordshire, where we did a small competition found just before, that was probably 2 years ago, just before Christmas, where the team behind the bar sort of created their own cocktails, and the winner got put on the list of the Grove, and it became the best seller among all the cocktails, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, and everybody was just like, really? But of course, a lot of people are driving to get to these places, and that's where it comes to this experience of everybody can partake into the celebratory experience, even though they are driving or they're not drinking for other reasons. So it's quite fun. But Bob, I know you're probably the only person here who actually has got the rosé bottle as well, because I had delivered those a couple of weeks ago to the hotel.
Hold on, if it makes you better,
I'm out of here now. I came for the full show, not half of it.
It has.
Just Bob, not me.
Just Bob. And he doesn't.
No, he does. I love it.
In my defense, Elliot, he doesn't have a labeled bottle, but that's purely because we've only just received them this week in the country. And even Amanda doesn't have the bottle, but I've got one here that's just been delivered this morning here. So that's quite exciting. So we're sort of...
it's very exciting.
I think for spring, summer, it's going to be, as you say, on rooftops and stuff, it's going to be quite fun. So I don't know, Bob, if you've tasted that one as well, but I know you've got the bottle somewhere at the hotel.
I think Sally's probably got the bottle at the hotel. Bob hasn't seen it.
No, you're quite right, actually. You're quite right.
Then Sally has kept it.
Sally has. Sally, I'll go straight up to her office afterwards. Yeah, no. How long have you guys been going?
So we started in champagne, moved into conventional sparkling wine, but always organic, vegan, top quality, cutting sugar. And Noughty itself only launched actually 18 months ago, so pre-pandemic. And then we've now pivoted to, we're really going predominantly front-facing alcohol-free because we seem to have found our speciality. And just in 18 months, we're in over 25 countries. So it's just, I mean, the team's been working around the clock during the pandemic, but it's just been incredible. And I think we're being embraced with open arms by so many different global countries. I think because there just wasn't anything like it, nothing at all. So I think that we're fulfilling a gap that was definitely there. And I think this idea that almost consumers demanded it before we all knew we needed it, which I think has been fascinating. And we can say hello, I think, to Abigail, who's just joined us. Hello, Abigail.
I'm very sorry for being so late.
No, Abigail's from St. Giles. She does have a bottle as well, and I hope it's open. Oh, there she is. I'd love
cold and everything.
Good girl. I'd love to bring Stefan in onto this, and I see he's snuck in, and we weren't able to introduce him. But Stefan works at Brewin Dolphin, and I was chatting to Amanda about sort of financial services and how that has changed from a lot of the events on moving. I think Lloyd's Bank has moved to totally alcohol-free from their entertainment perspective. And I wondered, with Brewin Dolphin, you do so much entertaining and client engagement. What you thought about it?
Yeah, well, I am. First of all, apology for joining slightly late. I just couldn't connect. But I am so pleased and delighted. I have to say it's my first time that I try a non-alcoholic or alcohol-free sparkling wine, and I think I'm already in love with it. It's phenomenal. It's really, really good.
Thank you.
It's pleasant in the palate. It's kind of long. It has a bit of acidity. I like the bubble element, actually. I've served it in the wine glass, but I think it works extremely well and would work in a flute. And in terms of event, I think it's precisely what was missing. Often people who do not want to drink, because in the corporate world, events usually start very early, 5:30, 6 p.m. They don't want people to go back home, so they start extremely early. And a lot of people are not interested to actually drink alcohol. And then you have your tray coming towards you, and you have all the yummy alcohol, but you might not want to drink alcohol. So what is the options? A juice which full of sugar most of the time that you're not interested, or a glass of water, and you very often said no thank you. I think this option is phenomenal. It's great. You don't make people feel bad about it, because as you were just saying, Amanda, you're part of the group who are actually drinking, unless you obviously want to make a statement and said, I'm not drinking alcohol, which is another thing. But there is a way to promote this when you actually serve, to make everyone happy and give this special experience. So definitely, I mean, I'll be certainly passing my order and introducing to our clients and to our business, because they will welcome this innovative and tasty drink. So very, very well done. And I'm really pleased to have been introduced now. So thank you to Lauren and Chris, and well done, Amanda. It's great.
Oh, thank you. Honestly, I'm so touched when you're all so kind. I know how incredibly prestigious you all are in your own areas, and how hard you all work. And as an entrepreneur, I mean, I created this from scratch. So moments like that to Shamal and I just mean everything when you enjoy it. And I think that you've hit the nail on the head. All of those opportunities. I'm not sure if we mentioned it's halal certified, and that was very important to us, because there's also people, of course, who choose not to drink for religious reasons that I've learned about, and they've often felt a bit awkward. They may not want to talk about it in these corporate events, and of course it enables them to have a seat at the table. And you touched on that interesting point, which is, if I want to tell you I'm not drinking, I can be out and proud, or we can all have a glass. And not supposed to be smoke and mirrors, but sometimes you don't want the fact that you're not drinking to be the most important point of the conversation. We've been learning about women in business who are early pregnancy, all kinds of reasons, ex-alcoholics who are really trying to keep quiet about their new pursuits. And I think the fact that Noughty can fit in flexibly on both sides of that was very important to us. So it's got 0 alcohol, so not even trace. And I think that was another obsession of ours, because there's a lot of brands playing around in a low space And for me, low can be a little nebulous because it's got no absolute definition. So this is 0 alcohol, which makes it nice and clear.
And Carrie, I'd love to have your thoughts on it, because Carrie has got the most exciting project with Chateau Denmark, which is all about hedonism and excess. And now I'm forcing you to drink alcohol-free.
I know. Yeah, yes. Exactly. We're going the other way with that, but actually, I mean, I think going back to what everyone's saying, there's most certainly a place in the market here for this. And I think I'm a champagne girl by nature. It's like, my favorite go-to drink. And but I would love to taste in cocktails. I think that interests me very much. And also I think the rosé would interest me to have a taste of that too. But I think I think for me, what people were saying also about the younger generation, I certainly see that too. That's where they're at in terms of wanting to actually to drink less alcohol, and sometimes you say not at all. I was very surprised that often when you think you're going to taste something like this, it's going to be that sort of sparkling grape juice taste, And for me, I was very pleasantly surprised as well. I think everyone's saying too. I think the depth of color is incredible. I have to say, I think that's great. I agree with the fizz initially. I think that it's a little bit too, on first taste, but second mouth, and then of course, and now it's, it's perfect. I also feel that there is flavor, which is great. You as I say, your head, you get this sort of sparkling grape juice flavor. Now it hasn't got that at all. You can taste, and of course, what you would linger on the palate normally would be the alcohol, which of course is not lingering on the palate, which actually makes you feel better. I think I feel cleaner from that taste, as opposed to having that heavy, heady alcohol, especially from a heavy champagne. So for me, it ticks all the boxes, absolutely. And I'm now thinking and ticking over how we could position it in Chateau Denmark as well. We've got maxi bars going in there as opposed to mini bars, and we've actually my lovely concept, which actually I'm very proud of. I've designed bars within the bathroom, so we've got
genius.
Yeah, nice. Full-on bars with a bathroom with a red painted bath. I mean, it's very decadent and very crazy and the artwork we've been shooting yesterday, which is all very. Yeah, it's going to make you think of it a little bit, for sure.
Has that saved you not buying beds?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Fantastic idea, love it.
I know. So we're doing that. So it's all about partying in your bathroom. Well, we've got to be careful with the license hearings coming up. Slightly quiet about all that. But the idea is to create that atmosphere of, and especially Denmark Street, where music started, really, quite frankly. We're bringing back sort of that kind of feeling. So something like this would, I think, as you say, there are a lot of people, especially where we have a venue there too. So we are attracting artists and performers all over the world. And there are many of those that don't indulge in alcohol anymore. We all know for all the reasons they have. So this would be a perfect situation for them. But yeah.
It's interesting that, because I hadn't realized how many early adopting celebrities they were. We obviously we treat everybody as a celebrity, whether it's the person cleaning or a famous person. But we've got an incredible roster of private clients from the get-go. I was blown away by the amount of thought leaders in every part of the world who've come on board early with Noughty who don't drink. You're right.
Yeah, they absolutely there are. And I'm having run hotels in London for many years. That was a huge request for that. There always was for that. So the rider list was always non-alcoholic, and preferably not this and this and this. We get we don't want any of this because it's a load of rubbish. What they would say. So well done. Yeah.
Well done. Good.
Thank you.
And Alex,
what is the price point though? Are you going to?
Oh, so on-trade, well, RRP where in Waitrose is $8.99, but the on-trade price, Shamal will tell you, my sales director.
Yeah, it's 575 units on the bottle plus VAT. As we were talking earlier, you sell a glass of that easily around the £7-8. Customers have responded quite well with that pricing, so you recover your price of the first glass technically. So we've been going for since June 19 now. We're in quite a few hotels and luxury hotels around the country and the globe, and yeah, it's they're going through quite a lot of Noughty at the moment, which is exciting. I thought it would be more of a retail product initially, but we're doing quite well on the hospitality as well, which is great. I think it's all about responding to demand from customers, right? It's people coming in.
Sorry, Mark.
What was the route to market? Are you through sort of the likes of Matthew Clark? Are you going direct?
No, we were what's the polite word? Disappointed, I think it's fair to say, with the customer service given by a lot of the big wholesalers in the UK. So we started by doing direct to on trade in London and beyond. And so we've got a few routes to market in the wholesale world, but we prefer to do it ourselves because we can give better service. But obviously when it's a deal breaker, then we're happy to go via your third party.
Okay. And sort of thinking about formats, say obviously you've got the sort of standard size. You see some of the smaller bottles or individual bottles, PET bottles. Again, just thinking of festivals and arena type business.
Yeah, we're looking at all of those things right now. We're firmly positioning ourselves with the two SKUs like champagne, so the Brut and the Rosé. So watch this space. But I think because we've just got the Rosé coming on for this spring, summer, and because once you've had a glass of Noughty, you tend to want the whole bottle. I think we'll be sticking with this format at least for this year, Mark. But never say never for next year. And we often can discuss for private clients. When we're starting to work with BA on their lounges, and we're looking to do a few American deals. So there are opportunities with different companies to do different things. But I think we're just trying to get our two champagne style SKUs established in the high-end hospitality world first.
Makes sense.
And Bill, your thoughts, University of Cambridge, do you see you quaffing this in those beautiful halls that I've walked down?
Yeah, I think we'll put this on our wine list, actually, the new wine list we're doing.
Yeah.
And also the rosé. So I just need information of where I can actually get from.
Bill's of the rosé, Shamal. You would have to.
That's amazing.
I just want to check a couple of things. I mean, it's great all the stuff you've got on. Did you say that the grapes are grown in Spain?
La Mancha, Spain.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Yes, so Gleneagles is German.
But then it's made in Germany, is it? Yeah.
Yes, there's the reason being that we needed that sun ripening in Spain to retain the Chardonnay flavour, because once you extract the alcohol. So, I mean, obviously, from a carbon footprint, we'd rather it was all the same place.
Yeah.
But we're all about flavour. So that, and the famous maker who does it best is Germany. So. And the beauty for that also is for outside the UK deals, we can still sell X works.
Okay.
So when we're selling outside the UK, it goes direct from Europe. So we don't have any of those pesky Brexit issues.
Yeah. I mean, I actually thought the product was very good, I have to say, because there are quite a few on the market, not that brilliant. And as people have been saying, we've definitely got more students that are drinking less alcohol. So we have to look after them as well as the ones that are drinking alcohol.
I think that because, like Carrie, I was a champagne obsessive. I know it sounds like a strange oxymoron, but I do think that's probably why Noughty, you're all loving it. I think I was an obsessive Krug Blanc de Blanc girl when I wasn't paying. And I think if you're really spoilt with good champagne, that was why originally when I started tasting alcohol-free, Shamal and I, we tasted everything out there.
Oh my God.
It became a highly depressing experience. And Noughty, actually, conceptually, we wanted to bring it to market earlier, but we couldn't. I wouldn't launch anything unless it tasted perfect. So it was a long time coming. We had the concept years before it actually launched. But hopefully, what I wanted was, with champagne, I get that thing where I always think about what I want to start eating. And of course, this is relevant to hospitality. When I'm tasting, I'd be like, right, what do I want to start eating now? Do I want something spicy? Do I want something with truffle, maybe a truffle risotto? And of course, with champagne, I get that. And what I wanted was that kind of satiability where the saliva starts going. And I don't know if you found that when you had a sip of Noughty, but what I wanted was that it does get your saliva ducts going in the same way as a glass of good champagne. And it starts us all thinking in your wonderful bars, restaurants, spas, hotels, what are we going to order from the menu? And hopefully you might feel like it's achieved that.
And I have noticed that Bev's glass is empty, so she's definitely enjoying it. Beverly, what are your thoughts on it? Sorry, I've thrown you in.
My glass isn't empty, actually. I've got an empty one because I thought Sally was joining me. We tasted it last week.
Oh,
I think there's a need in the market because we're seriously looking at that market. I think the only hesitation I've got, and I agree with Carrie, I would like to try it out in cocktails because I was the only one drinking it after we tasted it the other day. I found as you went down the bottle because I didn't enjoy it as much. I'll be really honest with you. And I don't think it holds well. If, you know, because there's not always many people that drink champagne because I'm a champagne person, but I actually gave up alcohol for Lent and I haven't gone back on it. And so I've tasted most of the products out in the market. I think, honestly, there are ones that perhaps don't taste as good once the initial fizz has gone, but I think they hold better in the bottle. So I think, sorry, I'm being really honest with you. We are looking at it seriously.
I'm curious, Beverly, because I'd love to know which you prefer. It'd be great.
Well, I think we've tried many, but I just think because if I was drinking it with my team, they all had a taste. I then drank the bottle. They went on to real, and I didn't enjoy it as much towards the end.
I'm sorry to hear that, Beverly. Okay.
But I still think you've got a great bottle presence. The name's great. There's a massive market, afternoon tea, pregnancy, lunchtime. Definitely the market is there and you've probably nailed it, probably one of the best, but I still think a little bit, I don't know, as you get further down the bottle, I think.
I'm sorry to hear that. Luckily, lots of other people don't agree, but I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate that. I'm just telling you honestly, because actually almost the next email after I tasted it was from Lauren about this. But I think your product,
nice to meet you, and hopefully we can change your mind.
Yeah. I think your product's very good. It's not a criticism, it's just a little bit of feedback.
Might have to give you more bottles, Bev.
It sounds like we have to get the cocktails going for Bev. We want to get it.
I think that's where it will really potentially come into its own. And I think that's the bit that I've asked my head bartender to do, is to see how that will fit into the cocktails.
Well, do let us know. That'll be very exciting, so we can all work out what we should be trying. That's a great idea.
Absolutely.
I think I've sent Sally some cocktail recipes, I think, by email ahead of the tasting, but I'm happy to send you some as well. So you can.
Well, yeah, you should send them to me. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, great.
Are we able to hear from Abigail at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I still have a ways to catch up with the rest of you in terms of going through the bottle, but at least I can go through the bottle and not feel guilty after. No, you know, I'm not a big connoisseur of champagne or sparkling products, but I do like a glass of champagne, and I'm very much enjoying this. I think on first taste, I think it depends on the palate of already what's in my mouth. It was a little bit felt too acidic and too fruity, but then after a few more sips, and then I had a biscuit. So you see the impact you wanted of it wanting to make you eat something. It did want to eat something.
There you go. You proved it there.
You know, I think the chocolate or something in the biscuit brought out some of the sweetness in this. And now I don't know anything about how it works, but I'm very much enjoying it. So, and the fact that it doesn't have it's less sugar, vegan, is all those guilty thoughts go away.
I was thinking, Abigail.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I was thinking about what
is on Waitrose. So my next
wait.
the basket.
That's the only, just for everybody's peace of mind, the only retailer we sell with is Waitrose in terms of the supermarkets. So I think that helps retain the premium sort of position in the UK. And just going back to Beverly's thoughts, because it's always good to have, you know, a little bit of dissent. And I think I was thinking about what Beverly said, and interestingly, it's impossible to get weight. As a wine person who trains, it's impossible to get weight without alcohol. And I think what a lot of the alcohol-free winemakers have done is replaced weight with extra sugar. And of course, sugar will give you an extra weighted mouthfeel, albeit in a slightly different way than alcohol. But I think it does mimic that. And just to note, as is lower in alcohol, because I believe it's beautifully balanced. So we're the 2.9 grams per 100 milliliter, which comes in ballpark half of most of the alcohol-free wines. So perhaps going back to Beverly's point, that you perhaps like that weight of a slightly sweeter wine because you don't end up tasting it, because the way the residual sugar is dealt with in the dealcoholization process, stay with me, it just means that it doesn't necessarily have the same end effect. So it's a whole other scientific discussion, but that's probably, Beverly, why you might have preferred some of the sweeter alcohol-free wines, because that perhaps created that weight for you. That's just my guess from a wine perspective.
That's fair. I'm just mindful of time, and I'm desperate to hear from Mark, because I know Mark has been alcohol-free and for Q1 this year, and that's an achievement in itself. And I want to chat to Alex because he's head sommelier for rhubarb, so he's definitely been, drinking the occasional fizzy drink. Alex, can you give me your thoughts quickly?
Yeah, I think it's a well-made wine. I really like the ripeness of apples and pears, slightly floral note. It's it's well made. I think it's fitting. There is a gap in the market, and it's definitely must for our list, especially consider the location where we are in the city of London. Sky Garden, we have a different demographic here, so I can see that working our cocktails. I'm really curious to see how it's going to go in our cocktails menu for our non-alcoholic offer. Also, the lunchtime trade, as is made obviously for people working in a banking sector. I think it would be great having an alternative, an alcoholic alternative, which ultimately will increase our average spend per head. Yeah. I really like the product, and definitely I'll be in touch with Thomson Scott.
Thank you, Alex.
And Mark, I know at Wembley, I have definitely had a glass of champagne in the boxes, and it was only one. But I was just wondering your thoughts on how this could work with Delaware.
Yeah, I mean, when I got the bottle, it said product of Germany. I didn't have high hopes for it in terms of wine, but having said that, it's very pleasant actually. And I think one of the things that we always have a challenge with is offering, obviously outside of event days when we might have 7,000 or 8,000 in hospitality at somewhere like Wembley, having an alternative there for all those people that tick whichever free from box it is a great thing to have. And I think often meeting organisers struggle with what to give or have for those people that don't consume alcohol for any one of the reasons we've already said. So I think it's for no alcohol, I think it's a very good product there. I haven't got to the end of the bottle to be able to say whether I think it'll be the same there, but I certainly think it's something that would have legs, as it were, to have in there and available. And I think for alcohol-free, it's a very good product.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Mindful of time, I just wonder if there were any sort of closing comments or questions. And I know everyone wants a bottle of rosé, so Shamal, you are in.
I'm on it. Don't worry, I've got them now.
Throw it out there and then not deliver. That's how it works. But Bob doesn't get it. Oh no, Bob's getting Sally, so that's fine.
Bob will get a labeled bottle.
It sounds like he needs one. Yeah, absolutely.
Look forward to it.
But is everybody happy and excited? What we'll do is we will introduce you to Amanda and Shamal so you can carry on conversations. And you may now drink the rest of the bottle and have the rest of the day off. Can
I just say a sincere thank you from the bottom of my heart. I built this business from nothing, and I'm just such an honor to have each and every one of you actually give your valuable time right now to join us. So we're super grateful. Thank you to Lauren and Chris and Johnny and all of you. We're really grateful.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Very good.
Thank
you. Lovely to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you.